said somehow places change, people come and go, summer sun, winter snow.
It sounds like Home 9. I'm Sean McPherson. So honored to have you here. I hope you are enjoying the music today, and I'm very honored to be in the house with Brianna Kochka. Brianna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, and I'm really excited about this new release. And we just heard you do the tune Seasons. And I was checking out the YouTube video for that with these visuals from picnics in 1948. And even before I saw the video, I got a very nostalgic vibe off of the language in the song and also off of the saxophones and everything. Can you tell me about making that song and about making that video as well?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So making the song. So I wrote the majority of this album during a song a day, month-long exercise last August with a bunch of other Minneapolis, St. Paul, and some musicians abroad. So that was one of the songs that I wrote, and I was just sitting out on my stoop, and it was hot, and you could hear cicadas, and there's cars driving past, and I just kind of came up with the strumming pattern and just kind of wrote it all in one go as I was just reflecting on the changes that we were kind of living through at that moment, as it was kind of the beginning, middle of COVID, and just trying to come to terms with, I don't know, just the changes of life, the seasons of life. It sounds kind of cliche, but it's a very matter-of-fact song. It's pretty straightforward. And so I just wanted to pair it with a video that felt kind of, like you said, nostalgic, that harkens back to a different time. So was really lucky to have stumbled upon that public domain footage, and it just felt like it fit. So I just put the two together, and it turned out really well. And it was honestly kind of a happy accident. So I'm happy it turned out the way it did.
A song a day. That sounds like an uphill battle for even a really gifted songwriter such as yourself. How did it go? And maybe what was the worst song you made during the song a day process? Were there somewhere you just said, garbage, toss that one?
Yeah, I will tell you. So as I was invited to do that with Siri from Humbird and a handful of other musicians. And I told her before I agreed to do it, I said, there's no way I'm going to write a song a day. I'm just going to warn you. That's just not how I write, but I would love to like be around other inspiring artists where we can kind of like work off of each other. So I wrote 3 of the 5 songs that are on the album during that song a day thing. And then I wrote a handful of other ones that just didn't quite fit the vibe of the album. One that's like a 10-minute murder ballad that's kind of feels like some of my other more like country music. So it just was fun and difficult, but I definitely didn't write like 30 songs like I had hoped. But I was really pleased to get to work with other artists and hear their writing process and kind of talk about what we were hearing from each other as we're all kind of like in isolation together. So it was fun, but really hard.
Well, you know, the ratio sounds pretty good. If a bunch of them were usable, even if you didn't get to 30, I think that's a pretty good situation. Let's get into another tune from this new EP, Let It Stay. This one is Make Me a Quiet Place to Lay. And when we were sort of prepping for your new music, Cecilia from our team recommended that this one might fit really well on Bill DeVille's show, United States of Americana, on the Sunday mornings. Is this song got more of a country vibe to you? Like, where does this song sit in your world?
Yeah, so I feel like this song is kind of like the song that kind of reaches back and reaches forward at the same time. So it feels a little bit like the songs that came off of my album Dream Life and the EP after that, 3 songs. So it kind of, fits back there a little bit more, but there's still a little bit of that kind of lilting jazz quality to it as well. So if Bill wants to play it, he is welcome to. I'll send it his way.
Let's get into some LJQ, lilting jazz quality. This is Brianna Kochka doing Make Me a Quiet Place to Lay on Sounds Like Home 9.
Make me
That is Make Me a Quiet Place to Lay. It is Sounds Like Home 9. I'm Sean, hanging out with Brianna Kochka, and listen to some tracks off of her new album, Let It Stay. Now, Brianna, a lot of this record, it sounds like, was made during the pandemic, and now you're working on getting a vinyl out for it as well. Can you tell me about navigating, recording, and promoting during this really unique time in our history?
Yeah, recording this was really, it was challenging, but also it was very fun. So the last EP that I put up before this, 3 songs, I experimented with multi-tracking for the first time. And so I knew that I really liked that process. And so I wanted to try that again. And given that it was, we were all kind of quarantining away from each other, this was like a perfect opportunity to ask other artists who were collaborating if they wanted to record stuff at home. So we, my engineer, Justin, and I, we recorded a lot of it here in this little tiny studio that I'm in our house that we share together. And then we had a day in a studio that was like socially distanced with my drummer, Lars, where we got drums and like a bunch of auxiliary percussion. And then the majority of the rest of it was recorded in people's homes as well. Addie recorded from the road. She did half in Eau Claire and half here in Minneapolis. Jimmy, who plays with me historically, he recorded from his home, and Justin went and kind of dropped off gear at his house so that he could get good sounds and stuff like that. So it was definitely a collaborative team effort. And Justin, of course, did this amazing job of melding all of these very unique sounds from different spaces together to make the album sound cohesive. So we're really pleased with how it turned out. Maybe moved a little slower than we planned. But I think, honestly, I kind of liked the pacing. It gave me an opportunity to sit back and go let's just make this the right thing instead of rushing to get content out. In terms of promotion, it's been really, I don't know, I feel like maybe I have more time to just talk about the album, and I've had more time to make my own videos for it. And I've just been working with Tinderbox, and they've been really great to work with as well for promotion stuff. So I feel really lucky. It's all kind of happening, but there's no strict timeline. So it's been great to just get it out and let people enjoy it as it happens.
That's a trip that this album was done somewhat with social distancing and at different studios, because to hear, especially the tune Seasons, it sounds so much like a one room kind of thing. So definitely a tribute to you and to your producer to have that type of warmth and roomness out of that type of experience. Brianna, you've made a lot of music under your own name, and you've also worked with different groups throughout your history. What is the difference for you when the project is under your own name as opposed to something that's a moniker or a group?
Yeah, I would say when I first moved back to Minneapolis after college, my first kind of foray into the music scene was under a pseudonym called Kaitani, and it was an indie rock thing. And I didn't quite know what I was doing at that time. I think there was always this idea that if you are doing something under your own name, people maybe won't take you as seriously. It's kind of how I always thought about it. They won't think that you're cool enough or in a band or have people playing with you. And so I was always a little afraid of just being myself. So that was kind of what happened early on. Sun Gods to Gamma Rays was a really fun collaborative project where we all had equal stakes partnership in it. So it felt right to have a moniker. But I think going forward, honestly, being my own person and having my own name attached to something is really meant to show that I'm the controlling entity of the project. Justin and I really worked on this record together, but this is my first time really in the producer's seat and getting to compose and conduct and arrange and kind of sit in all of the sessions in a way that I haven't really done in the past. So it's great to kind of have an opportunity to say it's really my thing instead of it being, obviously there's a team involved, and I wouldn't ever want to say that that's not important, but there is something about it kind of taking ownership for myself and just trying to live that out has been really fun. So
to have anybody say that they're feeling more control and more agency at this time in our world is a beautiful and inspiring thing. It's so cool that you're figuring out a way to take take some of the things of COVID and take some of the wherever you're at with your career and turn them into the opportunity to make music in a way that you want. I got one more question for you before we get into this last tune, Sunset Vignette. You mentioned briefly when we were talking earlier about not writing a song a day, not being your preferred style of writing. If you were to make a writing workshop on totally your terms, so it's not a song a day, but it was going to be, with other writers, what would the parameters be? How would you run your own writing workshop?
That's a really fun question. Thanks for asking. I think, so I like to talk about how I'm always writing a song, even though I may not be sitting down with a pen and a guitar or whatever. So I think if I were to do my own kind of workshop, it would probably be like a 6-month process. And the first 3 months, you would have to probably go out and have some sort of experience that you can draw on, whether it's just going for a walk in nature every day, it's cooking yourself a meal every single day and really being present to that moment. There's something about just kind of tapping into a self-awareness and like interacting with the world around you that I think has helped me write. And it's allowed me to kind of follow the thread of inspiration instead of, some people just sit down and they're really thoughtful and very dedicated to their craft. And I've just always been very much like trying to tap into my muse or like follow inspiration. So if I were to do a workshop, I'd say first 3 months is like, go find those things that are inspiring you. And then like the next 3 months would be maybe working and workshopping those ideas together to slowly craft a song together. So if anyone wants to do that, hit me up.
I'll be your first volunteer. That sounds like a pretty great working opportunity. Brianna, thank you so much for hanging out with Sounds Like Home. Congratulations on the new release. And is there anything you want to say about this tune, Sunset Vignette, before we get into it?
Yeah, I would say the song is I like to not play favorites, but I think this would be my favorite off of the album. It's my second single. There's a video for it out there, and I hope folks enjoy it.
All right. Thank you, Brianna. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being a part of Sounds Like Home.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Sit down, rubbing my legs because riding that train ain't no pulling me back to earth. Right now, starting to beg because I think I might faint and I'm wondering what it's worth. Sit down, rubbing my legs because riding that train ain't no pulling me back to earth. Got a tip from my friend Mary, and she's looking at me sideways. I think I wanna stay with Mary. Hope it's better than yesterday. Sit down, rubbing my legs because I'm riding that train, ain't no pulling me back to earth. Right now, starting to beg because I think I might faint and I'm wondering what it's worth. Sit down, rubbing my legs because I'm riding that train, ain't no pulling me back to earth. Right now, starting to beg because I think I might faint and I'm wondering what it's worth. Mary, why'd you have to dare me? I was looking for some clarity. Now you're turning the other way. Sit down, rubbing my legs because I'm riding that train, ain't no pulling me back to earth. Right now, starting to beg because I think I might faint and I'm wondering what it's worth. Sit down, rubbing my legs because I'm riding that train, ain't no pulling me back to earth. Right now, starting to beg because I think I might faint and I'm wondering what it's worth. Sit down, rubbing my legs because I'm riding that train, ain't no pulling me back to earth.
It sounds like home, and we are hanging out with King Pari. That first tune was Mary, and sounding so good and feeling so spectacular to be checking out this music. Cameron and Joe, thank you so much for being a part of Sounds Like Home. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, yeah. Thanks for having us, Sean.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Okay, I know you guys pretty well. I've played music with both of you. In fact, Joe, long ago, I had the opportunity to have you as a student, even though I think you already had spectacular ears, and I got to basically pull a paycheck watching you and your fantastic musician friends play Jay Dilla tunes. I only wrote one real preparatory question for this interview, but I got a lot of things to follow up on. You guys have both been uber talented for a long time, but this is the first project where I feel like you found a special thing where you go, I hear King Pari's music, and within the first bar I go, got it. Before Cameron starts singing, I go, oh, there's like a sort of aesthetic theory to what this group is all about. Do you agree? And then what's that thing? Can you describe it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was kind of just like a click in our music careers where it was like so much work and band practices, 3 times a week, 4 times a week with other bands. And I think all that work and then kind of curating and knowing what we started to like, listening to music and all that, it just kind of clicked eventually. And so it was like everything before that just contributed to like this eventually just like clicking, and it came together really organically. And I think it was just like a maturity thing in our careers.
Yeah, and I'd say too, the word that I always think about is authenticity. Like this to me feels just like, as soon as Joe was showing me like the instrumentals for some of these songs, I was like, man, even though he's the one making it, I was like, this is like feels authentically like me. And like right away it clicked. And so, yeah, this is like, I guess one of the first times, especially vocally, I felt like really very authentic. Like this feels really authentic. Yeah.
I believe you on that, Cameron. As a vocalist, I really haven't seen something you can't do. I've heard you in front of like really loud hidden bands. I've heard you doing ballads. Obviously, you have tremendous facility on trumpet as well. It takes authenticity. It also takes discipline. It seems like if you're going to be in the right kind of bag and go, okay, we're working with Joe's kind of sparse drum machine loops. Generally, I'm hearing sounds from the 70s, keyboards, bass, guitar. You kind of have to have that discipline to stay in that bag, but still be creative. Do you find yourselves like, there seems like there's purposeful limitations of being a duo in this setting that probably elicit really good results. So can you talk about the discipline of staying in that vibe?
There is this sparseness and it has a thing to it, but also we've just kind of been like, with everything we recorded, we've been saying like, okay, like, do we like it? In the end, do we like it? Like, we're a little less worried about trying to fit a vibe and more like, do we like how this turns out and are we catching the vibe? And so like trying to not overdo things too much. Like once you catch the vibe, it's like, okay, like we're not gonna do 100 vocal takes. Like let's do a few of them. And like, yeah, that's the vibe. We caught the vibe. That's more important with this. And again, like going back to the authenticity or like, yeah. So there's felt like there's been parts of this, there's other stories we could tell about different recording things where it's been like, there's been moments where I've been like, oh, we should do this again. And Joe's like, no, we can't do that again. Like, like the vibe, like we got to keep the vibe, dude. There literally one time that Joe said something to me and he was like, do you want this song to be legendary or not? Incredible. Yeah. Like some of the best like recording moments of my life are like in the basement of this cabin with like Joe's tape machine and then us like talking out like how we're gonna record something. Anyway.
Yeah, there's never like moments of like thinking about like listening back to like one part of a song and being like, is there one note in there that doesn't really like fit? I don't know. It's like, is the guitar maybe a little out of tune? Or, that just doesn't happen in this. And I think if it did, it just wouldn't have sounded that cool. It's like the whole point. Yeah.
Joe, you can't play that card too often. I imagine like Cameron's like, how about a tambourine? You're like, legendary or not? Listen, no, like, you can only play that. And Cameron, I'm glad you talked about just making sure it feels good, because as much as I caught a particular vibe off of the song Sunshine, when I got the email from your manager about Come Inside, the song we're about to hear, and they said, A, it's got some guests on it, and B, it's about family struggles with COVID comfort, I sort of went, boy, that's a pretty stark left turn from Summertime, from Sunshine. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we're going in a different thing. Cameron, can you talk a little bit about the song lyrically, and then can both of you or whoever wants to talk about connecting with the two guests you have on the rendition of Come Inside?
Yeah, totally. So I think the first thing I'll say is like, so the song Sunshine, the song, so like the instrumental and everything, and like the melody, it's like very poppy and fun. But the lyrics of that song are actually not, they're not happy. And it's interesting because like, I don't think it's because the song just, and that was kind of intentional, or not kind of, it was intentional. And also because what it was written about was a very authentic moment and feeling. But so like the music is very poppy and like it feels very happy, but if you like really sit and read the lyrics, it's actually about the time that I was not happy. So I think like content wise, there is a little bit of a shift, but like feeling wise, not so much. It's more like the music, right? Like the music shifts from this really happy, like guitar, like really bright feel thing to like this super dark, like it's a very stark shift to this really dark synth bass 808 thing. But yeah, content wise for Come Inside, basically, so Joe sent me the instrumental and I was like, what is this? And loved it. And then basically right around the time I was having some kind of conversations with my family about COVID, and essentially like my parents were in a situation, or I guess are in a situation where they're working for family, and family didn't have a plan or doesn't have a plan for COVID. And, they reached out to this, family. They reached out to them and very respectfully were like, hey, we're concerned about this. And basically the response was like, you need to come in and work. And, definitely made me very upset, and it opens your eyes to like, this is something that everyone's dealing with. It's a global pandemic and you can't even think about your family. Like, and that combined with everything else going on, it like really, it's like, there are people that just can't even think about family, and it's like, so anyway, that's what I kind of tapped into. So like Joe had sent me this instrumental, and like the next day I had this conversation with my mom, and then I think it was like the next day or two later I wrote and recorded the whole song. And it was just like an immediate response to that feeling. So that's content wise where it came from. So anyway, that's kind of how that all came together.
This is dope, and the music is super dope. And I also I had no idea that Sunshine had negative connotations in the lyrics, because I think the vibe is so good. But I hear Lady Midnight through that track. Like I was like, oh yeah, I get cool. That thing. So now I'll go a little 50-50 on figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
We're gonna dig.
I think most people on Sunshine. Like I don't think I've had anyone that's been like, oh man, that's it's a sad song, man. Yeah. Like not a single person. It's like, yeah, no, it's it's hiding it, But
it's depression funk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into a little bit of suppression funk. We're going to hear 2 in a row. Sunshine is coming up next, and right now, Come Inside with King Pari.
urgency. No, nothing couldn't serve a clue. Bounty couldn't serve a rule. Spent money on a pearl or two. No, I never even heard of you. Big motions, moving through emotions. Moving through a life like I'm moving through an ocean. Moving through a life like I'm moving through a hoax. I can never do it twice, couldn't do it to my folks. Wouldn't do it for a dollar, wouldn't do it for another. Wouldn't do it for your daughter, wouldn't do it for your mother.
I woke up to sunshine. I woke up to sunshine. Said I woke up to sunshine. Breakfast in bed. And you by my side, baby, 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 resting your head. Then you ask me how I'm feeling, said how do I seem? Then I close on my and slip back and sleep. Can we go back for a minute? Back when our whole heart's in it. Can we go back for a minute? Wanna go way back to the beginning. I'm looking at you, looking through me. Said it's not hard to do. Oh, there's not much to see. Wanna spend this morning all baked in the sun. Oh, yes, I do. But I can't stop pouring all the rain on my fun. Taking me back for a minute. Back when my whole heart was in it. Can I go back for a minute? Wanna go way back to the beginning. Oh, taking me back to the beginning. I know you feel the same way too. I know that you feel the same way too. Feel the same way too. Said I know that you feel the same way too.
It sounds like home, and that is Sunshine from King Pari, a song that until I sat down with Cameron and Joe, I thought was all feel good, all everybody's having a good time. And that's the power of a good little funky lick, and that song has a couple of them. I love the music, and I'm so glad to be hanging out with King Pari. Cameron and Joe, can you talk about in more detail about the process? And you've talked a little bit about what kind of limits you from editing too much, and I know you're using some old gear. So let's get into the nuts and bolts a little bit. How are you making this King Pari music?
Yeah. Yeah, typically I'll just kind of make something solo, and that, yeah, so sometimes that includes just tape machine or like loop pedals. Sometimes I just go straight into Ableton or whatever. But it's always like outside the box. So I have like a old DX Oberheim drum machine, and then I have like a 808 reissue. And then I'll run. So usually I'll start with drums, and I'll always run my drums through guitar pedals. So I'll kind of just hit play on a drum, make a groove, hit play on the drum machine, and then kind of like dub my drums as they're playing, and then maybe take like pieces of the drums, like say through a wah pedal, I'll turn the wah on, and hit the reverb, and then hit delay, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'll make that like a fill or something, and then write a track around it, lay down guitar and bass, and yeah, it's kind of the strategy.
The tune we're going to close out with is a pretty new one, Wouldn't It Be Nice. Do you want to say anything about the tune before we get into it?
Yeah, so Wouldn't It Be Nice is part of the EP that's going to be that's coming out. We're releasing singles for that, and yeah, the song itself was like again, a lot of these songs were written at the same time, so it's not all like the happiest content, but like reflecting. This one was specifically like reflecting on like being in a moment and feeling like you, like there's something that you're going for or reaching for that you don't actually want. So like the chorus is like, wouldn't it be nice, a slice of paradise, or do you need some time to think it over now? So it's like, yeah, and that phrase just like perfectly captures like a feeling like in a moment that I feel like I was definitely in. I feel like kind of both of us, when we came together and started writing stuff, like we're both in this moment of like, yeah, like what do we actually want from music and like life and everything. So anyway, that's what the song is about.
I love it. King Pari, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Joe and Cameron, congratulations on all the success. Let's get into this last track, and can't wait to see you in a live venue safely in the near future. Thank you so much for all the music you're making.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Sean.
a slice of paradise? Or do you need some time to think it over now? Wouldn't it be nice to never roll the dice? Your cards are up, but you're out of luck. Woke up with a smile on, but life is not a dream. The morning comes with the dawn. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know where to start. That's never been my favorite part. Buckle up, trust your heart. Wouldn't it be nice? A slice of paradise? Or do you need some time to think it over now? Wouldn't it be nice to never roll the dice? Your cards are up, but you're out of luck. Wouldn't it be nice? A slice of paradise? Or do you need some time to think it over now? Wouldn't it be nice to never roll the dice? Your cards are up, but you're out of luck. Oh God, my arm. Woo!
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Baby, you are all that I dream of. You gonna steal me away in the night. Won't you take me back? God, take me back. You are all that I live for. Carry on. You have stolen up my heart. You're not. You are the only one I want. Cause me deeper. Wish I could erase from my thoughts keep spilling out your mouth like some backwash potion. Carry on. You haven't stolen half my heart. You are not. You were the only one I want. Cause you're deeper. Wish you could rest from my thoughts. You were lonely. Like you were the only one. Only one. Only one I. Only one I. Only one I. Only one I. Only one. Only one. Only one. Only one. Only one. Only one I. Only one I want. Maybe you were all that I dream of, and I know cross your mind sometimes too. Won't you take me back? You gotta take me back, 'cause I don't wanna be halfway heartless, halfway heartless, halfway
Hello and welcome to Sounds Like Home 9. My name is Sean and I am kicking it with Casey from Strange Relations. Casey, thank you for being here, and also congratulations on getting an album out in the late period of this pandemic. How is it going, and how was it to release an album during this time?
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having us. And, well, I'll be repping us for the interview today.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thanks for the congrats, too. The album's only been out for like a few weeks now, I think. So really excited to get it out there. And, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all that we're thinking about these days. Excited to get new music out. It was definitely delayed. It was supposed to come out originally last spring. So we kind of held off for a year.
Oh, so does that mean that almost all the writing on it is like, or is all the writing on it pre-pandemic?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The project, it sounds so cool to hear a group that kind of has a dark, moody thing without pounds and pounds of guitars and keyboards. Like, it's a lot more spare, and it means I can focus, at least I as a listener can focus on the lyrics more. Was it a purposeful, like, hey, we can fit in a van with just two people thing, or was it a artistic thing, like, let's just make this lean? What was the motivation?
Yeah, I think that kind of from the get-go of this project of Strange Relations, we've kind of really had a goal in mind to take a less is more approach to songwriting, and to like really focusing on wanting to be able to translate our songs to the live stage in a really similar capacity as we could in the studio. And, you know, that's not to say that I don't love maximalist music. I really do. Both Maru and I do. We're huge pop fanatics in general, and we love like stacked everything and like effect walls and huge orchestral arrangements and indie rock songs and stuff. Like, I'm a sucker for all of that. But for this project, it just felt like the right thing to do. Like, we really want it to be about like a more old school approach, like our bodies with instruments, live on stage, like no tracks, no anything else. So I think that it was just kind of born out of that. And partially also out of necessity, you know, like originally when Marissa and I first started playing music together, we had a different project together, and like way back, and she was actually playing synth in that project and I was the drummer. And then in this project, taking on lead songwriter for the first time, I found myself like not wanting to give up drumming at the same time. And I felt really pulled between the two, and I was like, well, I could just do both. Why not? So that's kind of how I became a drummer-singer, was out of that. And then we worked with guitarists over the years on our last releases. And then this album, Belonging, we switched it up. We stripped it back even more to the drum and bass two-piece.
Gotcha. Well, I think the results are really, really fun. And that first tune we heard, "Take Me Back," that had me going for my metronome, trying to figure out the time signature, right? Because don't you got a little bit of six working in there? And I was just like, oh wow, there's nowhere to hide if you got just drums and bass and you're delivering it like it's so naked. And it's so good sounding. I've been checking out the studio recordings that y'all did at the Terrarium, and I'm like, great, I'm not distracted by anything. Can you tell me about the recording process at one of the best studios in Minnesota, if you ask me?
Oh, absolutely. We were so excited to get in there, get to work with Jason Orris for the first time. He's the owner of the Terrarium, and he doesn't actually work on that many records as much these days. He's like dealing with other stuff. So it was really cool when we kind of sent him the demos and we were just reaching out, and he was really excited about it, and he wanted to like get his hands involved himself. So that was quite an honor to get to work with him directly. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely that sparse thing that you're saying, like very intentional. And with Take Me Back, like the time signature thing, that wasn't something I did intentionally necessarily. I think a lot in polyrhythms, I'm really a fan of them. And so I think that, you know, it's not going to come out so much if you only have a few layers. Like, right, with polyrhythm, you need to experience more than that. But I feel like that's kind of where that kind of comes from, is that instinct, where you get like a weird moment or like an extra beat here or there, or like how things shift around within a grid. I really think as a drummer in terms of grids and stuff. So yeah, but working with Jason at the Terrarium was a dream come true. We went in and recorded in winter of 2019 is when we made the album. Like right before everything popped off with the pandemic, we just like snuck in there. Got lucky for that. And we really took like a live tracking approach to the album. And we always do when we hit the studio. We really want to capture that energy as much as possible. So it was all about like full takes, trying to maintain the integrity of the live show that way. And so it was just Marissa and I in a room playing all of the stuff through, a few full takes of each, minimal post-production, minimal editing, as much, you know, here and there, maybe an edit, but especially instrumentally, like huge full takes. And that was really cool. And then we took a few weeks off, and between tracking instrumental, we did that for a few days. And then I was going to come back for vocals. And in the meantime, my voice actually suffered some injuries, and I was like really struggling with it. And I was having a hard time singing at all. I was in a lot of pain. So I went to a specialist, and they were like, hey, you have vocal nodules, like bad news. So you have to go on 6 months vocal rest. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to work for me. I'm literally in the middle of making this album. What can we do, doc? So he put me on a steroid pack for a week. And then I just like went in the studio and knocked out some vocal takes for the record, because I really didn't want, you know, like once you're already invested in it and you have the time booked and the whole team's like working on it and your mind and your hearts are there, your energy's there, you don't want to have to take that long of a hiatus if you can help it. So it could have been a disaster. It was kind of stressful at the moment, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it kind of worked out in terms of it was conducive to the approach we were taking for the record, because we really did want to take that live, you know, type approach, like as much as possible and unedited as much as possible. And so this kind of forced me to just like have minimal takes. Like I only have a few takes per song, like do my best, go for it the way I would live. So I think it was kind of like a bit of a blessing in that way. Like it worked out. I was proud of how it came together.
I'm going to need to bottle that level of optimism where you're just like, well, I got vocal nodules. It was great. That's why the album is so good.
It's fine.
Let's get into some more of this music. We're going to check out the tune Surrender, another song that I think definitely benefits from this stripped down setting. So here's some more live Strange Relations for Sounds Like Home 9.
Daybreak, another exhale, still here, surrender, your thoughts are really your thoughts, the headline are really headline. Surrender, sweet surrender. All that you felt now, wash away again. All that you've lost, all that you give up. Surrender. getting too close. Blink twice if we're getting away with it. Hands up is the best way. Hit the drop of that. This is your moment, like you own it. It's not like what you dreamt of. It's yours and it's fading fast. This is your moment, act like you own it. It's not quite what you dreamt of. It's yours and fading fast. This is your moment, act like you own it. It's not quite what you dreamt of. It's yours and fading fast. This is your moment, act like you stole it. It's not quite what you dreamt of. It is yours and fading fast. Fading fast. Fading. Surrender. The sweet surrender. All that you found now, wash away again. All that you've lost, and all that you give up. Surrender. Wash away, wash away. Surrender. Wash away. Wash away, wash away. Surrender. Wash away, wash away. See surrender. Wash away, wash away. Wash away, wash away. Wash away, wash away. Wash away, wash away. Wash away, wash away.
That is Surrender from Strange Relations, and you tuned into Sounds Like Home 9. My name's Sean McPherson, and I am chatting with Casey from Strange Relations. Now, Casey, you mentioned that you had been in other projects, but this is the first one where you took on the role as the primary songwriter. That's a lift for anybody, and I think a lot of times we silo drummers into going like, cool, just hit the kit. Like, I don't really want to know what your poetry's all about. How did you how did you find your identity as a songwriter while maintaining your identity as a percussionist?
That's a good question. You know, I think reflecting back after doing this for like almost a decade now, I want to say, trying to straddle these roles and stuff, I think that I probably, if I'm being honest, did make some compromises over time with my drumming. When I was just a drummer, I was very much about like being as inventive as possible. There might have been a little ego involved. I don't know. Maybe it was my way of just trying to be like, hey, I'm important to the song too. But I mean, I also was just, it was like, you know, the mid-aughts, like I was really, there was so much music that was like that was so like drum heavy, and like, you know, there's like all these toms and stuff going everywhere. And so I think I just kind of, in like Block Party and bands like that I loved, I was like, yeah, drumming's where it's at. So to be fair, there was that. But yeah, so I kind of like did simplify my work as a percussionist over time a bit, doing it this way. But it was worth it to me because I was able to like really step into that role of front woman for the first time in my life. I'd always been a drummer supporting other people's vision, and I mean, I'm really grateful for everyone I've ever been able to share the stage with in that capacity, like deeply indebted to them and grateful for the time spent doing that. And I'm still down to just hop on the kit with anyone's project and just like have some fun. But yeah, it was something else to get to explore my life as like a songwriter and to push myself in that way. And for Moreau too, you know, she learned bass for the first time in this band, and it was like a huge adjustment for her as well. And I just, I'm really proud, like looking back on what we were able to kind of build together and work with different collaborators over the years and kind of make sure there was space for them as well. But to, at the same time, like get more comfortable with fighting for my vision and having the energy and the will to do that, you know. It takes practice. I don't think it's something that's just like gonna come automatically overnight, at least not for most people. So yeah, I've really enjoyed my journey as a songwriter to date, for sure.
That is awesome. I know Moreau's not here with us today in the conversation. What prompted Moreau to pick up the bass for this project? Did you feel like synth alone wasn't going to work for it? What was the drive to get bass going?
think that might have been part of it. I think, like on our first EP that we put out, she wasn't actually playing bass on that, or she was, but not as much. She was still kind of straddling that role. She was just starting to step into it, so she was also playing synth on some songs. Some songs just didn't have bass at that point. But I think that she just like, it was something she wanted to do for herself. And, you know, we really felt like we wanted to root this project in the rhythm section and like really make that the all-star of the group, like all along, because it's just a different approach, you know, just to try something new, if nothing else. Like we didn't see other people really doing that, and it just like appealed to us naturally. And so, you know, it wasn't like something calculated, but it was something that we just wanted to like push ourselves to do. So I think that I'm certainly happy that she picked up the bass and when she did, and I think it's been a lot more fun for it. I mean, we both still play keys. There's a lot of keys on the record. You know, I've never fully abandoned that. That's still how I write songs a lot of the time. We'll start on keys and work my way to other instruments from there. So, yeah.
That is totally awesome. And yeah, I'm a bass player. I still struggle to write on the bass. I'm like, come on, I gotta hear it. Then I'll figure out what's gonna be happening. But
totally,
we're getting into our last song with Strange Relations, and you could not have told me that this song, Good Time Baby, that we're about to hear, was written before the pandemic. That line feels like forever since we let our hair down. Did somebody tell you early on about the pandemic that you knew about this energy? This song is like my anthem of the summer of 2021. Like, let's get out, let's be energetic. Where were you when you wrote that tune?
That's awesome. First off, Sean, I hope it's a lot of people's anthem for the summer. It's going to be mine too, selfishly. Yeah, I think that song was really about, this whole album is very much a reflection of our time transitioning into a two-piece, and like, you know, we didn't really like have a hiatus between that transition from three-piece to two-piece. We were kind of just like had shows booked and kind of just like made it happen, and it was a bold move at times. You know, it was intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's bad, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes to be a three-piece already, and then on certain stages, certain bills, right, and like feeling like you're somehow stacking up against the crowd, and then to go to a two-piece and just be in these stages with sometimes hundreds of people or 1,000 people, like down in Chicago, and it's just us. And yeah, it was an intimidating thing. And so we were just really looking to build energy in our songs and like really like wanted a fun, dancey number. It was just something that we just wanted to do. We really wanted to lean into the cheese factor more than ever. We always embrace the cheese, don't get me wrong, but this time we really wanted to go there. We got the cowbell for you. She's the star of the show, as she should be, you know, doing it right. So this song was, we were playing shows with like Dreamwife and Cherry Glazer and Bleached, and we were like, we want to have like this kind of song and just a dancey banger. So that's how we wrote it and came up with it, and it always puts a smile on my face when I hear it. It makes me think too of all the range of influences we have as a band. Like, there's just such a range. Like, this song makes me think of like our love of post-punk kind of comes into play, right? Like, you can with bands like ESG or Sneaks and stuff like that, and then there's like a bit of like, there's definitely some B-52s energy, I think, creeping in, and some dance punk like Death from Above, and so it's kind of like a bit of that smashed together, and it puts a smile on my face. I hope it'll put a smile on all of yours listening today, and yeah.
Well, you know what? It has put a smile on my face, but before we hear the tune, I got to ask for 30 seconds on the band Sneaks, because I've never heard of that band, and maybe there's other people who are checking it out. So tell me about Sneaks, and then we'll get into this tune.
Sneaks, she's an artist from DC. She has, I believe, a couple full lengths out now, at least a couple full lengths, but she just is like a solo artist who does post-punk so well, and she is just so inventive, and she's like similar to us in the sense of like very stripped back. She writes a lot with bass, and it can just be like her and a bass and her vocals, and just like the best deadpan and like the best energy and attitude. Like, if you're into that kind of, that cool kid, just like post-punk thing, like Sneaks to me is like one of the top Americans in that game today. So definitely check her out.
Well, thank you for the shining endorsement. I will have to check her out. You wanted to make an energetic banger. Mission effing accomplished, because this one is that. This is Good Time Baby. It's Strange Relations on Sounds Like Home. Thanks so much, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Current. And thanks to all the other bands and artists performing. Can't wait to see everyone's stuff. 1, 2, ready.
don't have the time for you and your downside. Where we wanna be tonight, dancing, riding out the high. Spirit, have a good time, baby, a good time. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. So calling the weather tonight, this is our time. We're up to have a good time, baby, a good time. We don't have the time for you and your downside. We're where we wanna be tonight, dancing, riding out the high. So we're up to have a good time, baby, a good time. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. Feels like forever since we let our hair down. So calling the wicked tonight, this is our time. We're up to have a good time, baby, a good time. We don't have the time for you and your downside. We're where we wanna be tonight, dancing, riding out the high. We're up to have a good time, baby, a good time.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
work out this time. Because everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart. Pull your string, pulls you apart. Everybody breaks your heart. Well, I'm lying in my backyard crying, staring at the stars and feeling like I'm dying. And I know, never felt this before. Now I think I'm having an existential crisis. Don't know if I hate it or I like it, but I know I'm here for the long haul. Well, I've been there, baby, I'll get back in line. 'Cause baby, it'll work out this time. Because everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart. Pull your string, pulls you apart. Everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart. Pull your string, pulls you apart. Everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart. Everybody breaks your heart.
It is Sounds Like Home 9. My name's Sean, and I'm really excited to be hanging out with Low Rats, Joe, Mike, and Poison Cells, and really excited about everything that's happening for Low Rats. Joe, Mike, and Poison Cells, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being a part of Sounds Like Home.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations on this recent release. And I was just kind of curious, like, what went into making an album like this, particularly during the pandemic?
I think Mike would like to tell you about that.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, while most people just stopped during the pandemic, we just couldn't stop. So we had to do the workaround, and we had to figure out a way to practice at a safe distance. So we chose to move into Poison Cell's backyard garden, and we wrote the entire album on acoustic guitars there.
And then we made it loud later.
Where did you make it loud, and how did that go?
Oh, Mid City Studios. Yeah,
they've been great.
They're awesome. That's where we film these. The film as well. So we do our audio and video there.
That's really cool stuff. And now, Joe, you've been playing in bands for forever. I've known you for 20 plus years, going back to Bon Appetit days. What's got you excited about Low Rats? What are you enjoying about this project?
These guys are really inconvenience themselves enough to band going, you know, like that's pretty awesome that we have a committed thing, and we like to do it as full time as possible. So we're working on the band every day, and it's good to have a 3-person team, and then also our drummer, who's not present at the Zoom interview. Ben is a great member as well. Don't let his absence today, tell you otherwise. But what were we talking about?
And then we pretty much just used Joe for his contacts because he knows everything.
Well, I don't. Well, the thing about this band is, like you said, you didn't even know I played that, and you got out after you heard it, and I like that. I'm not just because I played in a bunch of bands doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's not why I want people to find this band. I actually use a fake name in our CD page to fun, but
we just got an email from someone who the headline was just, "Who the hell are you guys?" That was it.
Well, hey, you know what? If they're asking, that's a good thing. And I can understand why they're asking, because the music sounds really good. And also, I'm glad y'all found a way to do it in a garden during this time, because this does not sound like the kind of band where you want to be like, tell me what you put on the Pro Tools track, and then I'll try a different thing and I'll send it back to you. It sounds like there's a really raw existence to what happens here, and I'm glad you found a way to make it through. Let's get into another track from Low Rats before we talk some more. So this one is Books on Witchcraft. It's Low Rats from Sounds Like Home 9 from The Current. That was Books on Witchcraft. It is Sounds Like Home 9, and I'm Sean McPherson hanging out with Low Rats, Joe, Mike, and Poison Cells. Now, Mike, I know that a lot of this stuff starts from your writing and that you end up doing the singing when you're performing live. I know you got a drummer who can't be with us today. Poison Cells, it sounds like you kind of flesh out the material and add to the songwriting elements. So can you tell me how you are approaching these songs that you're getting from Mike and how you're finding your way into them?
This would be a good one for that, because you actually really did a whole new song to an existing song on this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, like with Books on Witchcraft, Mike had wrote a previous band, and I wanted to make it sort of more sultry, more burny. So I just sort of channeled some Sonics and some other, old 60s kind of groups and sort of rearranged it and revamped it. And that's what I do. I bring the group too, but Mike oftentimes will demo stuff on a like acoustic guitar or something, and just sort of the bare bones, and then we flat and do arranging and all that kind of stuff. And it starts getting a vibe of retro or sort of 70s CB or punk rock kind of stuff. Trying to keep it in the same vein.
That's one thing I was curious about with a band that's pretty stylistically specific, Mike, but also everybody. Is there a bunch of stuff you write where you go, that doesn't belong in this band? I got to set that aside and make sure that the stuff I write works for this group. Can you tell me sort of how you know if a tune is a Low Rat song or if it's got to go somewhere else?
I usually don't know until I bring it in and then we start jamming on it. Once we start playing, we can feel it, I guess, in our bones.
Yeah, and some of it, you're right, Sean. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work for this band, but it's a good song.
Yeah. But nothing I write is, I'm not that purposeful.
Gotcha.
And some of the stuff does come back years later. I mean, actually, Books on Witchcraft, Mike first showed me that song in 2016, and it was in a different key and way different tempo, and then it got kind of shelved a couple times, and then it came back, and then Rob wrote this whole new guitar part for it, which got us really interested in the song again, and then that's what you heard is what we ended up with. And this performance of it is the first time that we have debuted this version. We don't have a studio recording of this yet, so this Sounds Like Home is the first time that we've actually played this for anybody. World premiere of Books on Witchcraft just happened.
Yes,
it's crazy, man.
Well, that's really exciting stuff. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, you didn't even know.
I was just gonna say that these guys are such amazing musicians, and Ben as well. That the things I write don't really resemble the fantastic songs that come out at the end. Just say that.
Now I know you guys played a Hook and Ladder show recently. You guys also have a show coming up at Palmer's with Whiskey Rock and Roll Club. Is that on June 18th? Is that right?
I think that's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
So as a band that sounds like going to be a lot of fun live, how does it feel to be finally getting out and start playing shows again? Like, what's that bring for you guys energy wise?
Well, speaking for myself, when we played the Hook and Ladder show, after I was done, I was and almost in tears because it had been so long. It felt like I was alive again. It just performing and writing. I've done it since I was a kid, years old, in garage bands, so it's just part of who I am. And it was just things felt kind of normal for a second.
Yeah, it was cool. I felt the power of the band in a way that I'd forgotten about. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like actually more powerful than I even thought we were.
Yeah.
It was
with a PA, like a full PA.
Epic and cathartic all at the same time.
I will say that it's hard for me to stay on the stage, though. Super weird. I do a lot of crowd interaction.
Or you used to in the before time.
Yes. Now.
That was a big part of our show, was Mike going out to greet the audience, and now we're not sure to coach that right now. Although we are playing Art-A-Whirl, we'll figure it out. I got a 50-foot mic cable, and maybe there'll be enough distance to not bother people.
Things are quite normal.
Yeah, we're all navigating this return in different ways, but I know that for energetic bands with a lot of punk energy, there's a lot to navigate. Now, speaking of that, this tune that we're closing your Sounds Like Home set with is also the one you guys used to close most of your shows, Do the Rat. So usually I feel like bands save kind of something special for the last tune. So what's special about this tune? Was this the inspiration for the name of the band? And what can people expect from this performance you cut?
I could just tell you that this song is brand new. It's also a world premiere. And it was
2 world premieres.
It was this song was written in January, so it's very 2021. So it definitely predates the name of the band. I think what I'll say about it real quick is, I'm a fan of the Trashmen. In Minneapolis has a history of doing these crazy kinds of landlocked surf bands that end up doing, just crazy songs about dances. So the Trashmen, Surfing Bird. So maybe Do the Rat is a little bit of a nod to that, and just being from Minneapolis and actually living in the same neighborhood as that studio is. Like I can walk by and touch that building, and that's where Bird was recorded. And it's like four blocks from my house.
The history of songs that are about animals and a dance at the same time.
Yeah.
Surfing Bird.
So is there specific dance moves for doing the rat? Is there like a thing I need to do to do the rat?
It's up to Mike, yeah.
It's improv,
Yeah, there's supposed to be a breakdown more like dance moves, but we always get too into the song and rambunctious, and I forgot what I was going to say.
It's every time we play it, this is a song that's open-ended, so it's every performance of it is going to be different. So sometimes you'll get instructions on how the dance goes, and sometimes you will not.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to get today. I really appreciate y'all being part of Sounds Like Home. Again, the show at Palmer's is on June 18th with Whiskey Rock and Roll Club, I believe. Yeah.
And the silent treatment.
Very cool.
Yes.
All right. Well,
thank you, Sean.
Oh, thank y'all. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for making music and making awesome music. Let's check out this last track. It is Do the Rat. And thank you so much, Low Rats. Have a great rest of your night.
Everybody do it.
Do the rap. Everybody do the rap. If you know where it's at, they wanna do the rap. Gotta do it like this, gotta do it like that, gotta do the rap. Get up on the floor, get up on the floor. If you do it once, baby, you'll do it some more. Gotta do it like this, gotta do it like that, gotta do the rap. If you lower class, the crowd, baby bourgeoisie, proletariat. Yeah, you know it's there. Gotta do the right. Everybody knows, gotta do the riot. Get down on the floor, get real low. If you do it once, gonna do it some more. Everybody do the rap. Everybody do the rap. If you know where it's at, yeah, then you're gonna do the rap. Do it like this, do it like that. Everybody do the rap.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
So Cherry Blossom, it's like a pandemic love song about meeting some really, really dope people, hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Here goes. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. Take a deep breath with me, collectively, even if it's through the live stream messaging, even if we happen to be on opposite sides of the continent, talking through the latest technology, sounding sweet. With every single post you make, there's no mistake, even though we make typos regularly, there is no debate. Misspelling words in such a gorgeous way, and singing slightly off key with my morning face. Woke up this way, early morning, let the sunny rise, crusty eyes, melodies, lullabies, and round dance songs that I haven't quite memorized, and lyrics that I set aside for you. I'll send you a voice memo in a day or two to get your insight and feedback. You know I need that, so take a seat back and listen to the words and relax. Should I delete that last part? Yeah, I can see that. You listen with your family later on, we can screen chat. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. You seem pretty damn dope to me, and hopefully after quarantine I can show you beats and we can roll some trees on the Gulf Coast, Pacific, or maybe the Atlantic, maybe overlooking a canyon that's gigantic. I only need a couple tokes of money, that's enough for me. Sunset in the distance, quite lovely, so comforting, the warm air hugging me, rolling hills, bumblebees, tumbleweeds. I'm corny, but you still got hella love for me. Hummingbirds in misty air, we sit and stare into the distance until it's crystal clear. Damn, it's really different here. I wanna visit your town, reservation or city. The sights and the videos that you send me are super pretty. I don't really mind crashing on your couch, but if you happen to have a guest room in your house, I'm extra grateful that you let us slide through while we're out on tour. We can pass out on the floor or the porch if it's warm. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. Although we've only met through a screen, we can still catch a vibe together to a beat, maybe share the same dream. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, yeah. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze. Imagine cherry blossoms in the breeze, yeah, 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 yeah. Big shout outs to the current 89.3. Much love, y'all. It's Cherry Blossom.
It is Sounds Like Home 9, and I am so excited to be hanging out with one of the most talented artists coming out of Minnesota, one of the most talented artists, period. I'm talking about 2 for 1, and beyond being wildly talented, also so prolific. There's pretty much a single, maybe once a month, it starts to feel like, videos, and also a lot of incredible interaction with people online throughout this time of quarantine. And in fact, you could hear that in that tune, Cherry Blossom. So 2 for 1, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for bringing us some music for Sounds Like Home 9.
Absolutely. I'm totally blessed and honored to be here with you all today.
Now, with that tune, Cherry Blossom, and also seeing what you do on IG Live, it's clear that you figured out a way to create really intimate connections online. Cherry Blossom is a lot about a romance that is able to be connected while still being physically apart. And then I've witnessed you on your IG Lives, not just kind of like perform to an audience, but interact with an audience. What songs are you looking for? You can request something from my catalog. I'm going to freestyle about this. You've been very giving to your audience. How have you related to this time of the pandemic and not being able to connect in the normal ways, both personally and as an artist?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as far as Cherry Blossom goes, it was like, I mean, that song was created it was like a reaction essentially to the pandemic and having to make the changes, as artists,
everything kind of changed. I mean, everyone's lives changed, but specifically as an artist and as, someone releasing music, as an independent entrepreneur, working out of the Twin Cities, my home, it was like everything was canceled. Like I had tours lined up in and out of the country, and so many performances, workshops, public speaking gigs and things like that. All of that got canceled. And so I had to like reshape and restructure how I was able to, continue to work on art. And, the first few weeks I was really bummed out about it, and I just kind of didn't know what to do. And I had to take the first, those first couple weeks as a grace period to really figure out what I'm going to do and kind of collect myself, because it was just a mess at the time. And eventually it got to the point where, I came up with a program where, because I noticed a lot of my friends outside of Minnesota, a lot of native singers and rappers and artists that I work with, they had already been doing well with doing the live stream shows and just going live in general and engaging with their fans. And it was a very effective tool and way to stay engaged with their audience and with supporters. And so I figured it was a really good time to do that, especially during, the pandemic. And so, I came up with this whole, it was like a daily program basically, where I was releasing regular video content on my IGTV, as well as a monthly single at the time, and then live performances, and then some more like kind of extensions of who I am sort of programs. Like I had a live cooking show, and then also another show where it was more of like a live podcast, if you will, talking about healthy habits, what we do for self-care during this time, what kind of foods we're eating to nourish our bodies and our mind and our spirits and everything. And so that's pretty much like what came out of that.
That is wildly inspiring and a fantastic tribute to sort of your maturity as an artist to figure out how to navigate it in the right way. And I tip my hat to you, because a lot of people never figure it out, and you've really got it dialed in. And the proof is in the pudding. When I go look you up on any, streaming service or anything like that, I got hours of stuff to be entertained by, and that's exactly what you want to be doing. And I'm looking forward to being entertained in another tune right now. Let's get into this track. It Sounds Like Home 9. This is 2 for 1 doing Lonely Lullaby.
This is the Lonely Lullaby, and it's really about my personal experience with isolation and having this yearning to want to break outside of that isolation. I know a lot of y'all can relate. Check it out. Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? I want my waters to flood an empty riverbank with memories and inspirations that'll innovate, cultivate, penetrate, pollinate, piercing through every wall that I won't tolerate, won't manipulate. I want my waters to follow a natural current that keeps flowing like the interstate, but in a better way, in a manner that minimizes the damage that only humans can pass with the generations of dissonance. Through the lack of listening and forced misery, I stayed away from company to find a bit of inner peace. And it's bittersweet, liberating at the same time, quite isolating, hiding from humanity. I tried to write a masterpiece, I had to stand and think. Had a stack of paper on the table, didn't have the ink. I tried to start a puzzle, couldn't find a corner piece. Sitting in the corner of my room until I'm half asleep. Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? How can I get away from these melancholy vibes? Listen to some podcasts, listen to some naughty by nature, and it's maybe in my interest to add Tierra Whack into my playlist. I want to fill these spaces with so many forms of medicine that they provide and let them in and make a vibe that takes me to a place in time. Takes away the pain we face inside, we might internalize day to day or maybe in our DNA within the bloodline. A little bit of joy is what I yearn for since a little boy, it's what I work for. A dirty little badass kid from the south side, snotty nose. Whoever thought I'd be in Europe playing a lot of shows with Natani though. And I'm reminded of the time we made progress. Wrote grants for the tour so it cost less. The way we did it, no nonsense. Came a long way from the Little Earth projects. Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby? Can I manifest a dream I had the other night? Can I make my spirit fly just another time and let my message and its essence spread like the sunshine? Sometimes distorted images appear so perfect. Sometimes the sky looks pink. My favorite time to catch a vibe is right before the night settles in. Let the words unravel as my third eye blinks. I look beyond the walls that isolated my thoughts and kept me from stepping out, slumped over on my couch. I wanna be a part of you again and dance all night in the twilight within the flashing lights. I miss your whole composition and your songs and rhythms that you provoke, rotating like the spokes of a wheel that'll take us to the place where we belong as our waters reach each other with the current so strong. And together we will flood that same riverbank with new memories and places where we give our thanks. Then we let it be and we return in due time as our waters renew when the new moon shines. Can I sing my lonely self a little lullaby?
This is Sounds Like Home 9, and I'm hanging out with 2 for 1. We just heard the track Lonely Lullaby, and you've navigated a lot of creative output while also being a real advocate for a lot of political positions, and beyond political positions, you've also been wise about when you've chosen to step back as an artist. I think you just recently pulled back a single you were planning on releasing because it felt like it wasn't the right time. This is shortly after another police killing in Minnesota. And I was just curious, at this time where you clearly have a lot of artistic mandates to get things out and ways you're pushing yourself, but also seemingly a lot of praiseworthy responsibility to your community and making the world better. How do you hold those things in balance, and how do you keep on pushing on both of those?
That's a really great question. And it's something that I've struggled with in the past. So I actually took the whole month of April off. You know, I was on a hiatus because of the recent killing of the 20-year-old black man, Dante Wright, by the former Brooklyn Center police officer, King Pari. And I felt there was such an urgency, and it was just not the time to work on music and promote myself. And it was time to get back into a place of, when it's this urgent, it's important for me to get out there and to engage and to do what I feel is right in my own spirit, and that's when I was in Standing Rock. I had a moment where I released a couple EPs that year. It was in 2016. I had released my Homecoming and my Send Off EPs that consecutively that year. And I just remembered being at camp, at the No Dapple camp, and having a moment where I'm like, am I going to give up on music right now? Because I was getting to a place of being sustainable with the music, getting a lot of gigs and selling my stuff and doing the independent entrepreneurial, life. And it was great. It was really cool. But at the same time, my ancestors were calling me, the land was calling me, the people, were calling me, and I'm like, okay, this is my time to really go there. And I had that moment when I was like laying on a cot in a yurt, and I had this moment where I realized that these two things shouldn't be separate. The fight for our liberation and what I'm saying in my music are one and the same. And so once I came to that point, I realized that neither one of these things are going to neither one of these things are going to be less emphasized as long as I go into it knowing that I'm trying to essentially achieve the same thing with both. The underlying message in my music is always connected to freedom and our struggle and our push for liberation, and that's what I'm saying on stage. That's what I'm saying in front of a class of youth when I'm doing youth work, or if I'm at a workshop, or I'm doing a public speaking gig, or if I'm performing. The message is still the same. We're fighting for equity. We're fighting for, we're fighting for our liberation. And so the music and the fight, whether it's on the front line or it's working with youth or whoever, on whatever level, that still remains. And so when I'm out there and I feel like it's so urgent, and I'm like, yo, there's people that are out there that are like, that need help, that are getting hit with rubber bullets and taking the tear gas and all of that. I've been there. I know what that's all about. It's not easy. And like, it's a really violent, thing and traumatic thing that to really experience. And so, and also being in solidarity with, as an indigenous Latinx artist, being in solidarity and showing up for, other communities who are also struggling, in this case, the Black community, being an ally and being able to show up was very urgent for me. So me doing the frontline work, or, being at the protests and whatnot, to me, I take that same essence with me when I'm creating music.
It's inspiring, and it's tangible to witness it, in hearing your music and in following you on social media and beyond, seeing you, in the same city. We're really lucky that you're doing that work, and we're really lucky that you're carving a path that I don't even want to say make space for both. I want to say is space for the one. It's the one thing, and you're doing it in many different ways, and it's beautiful. I wanted to ask, haven't seen you throughout these last couple of years before the pandemic engineer amazing opportunities for touring around the world and speaking around the world, performing around the world. And also, like, one of the more recent songs you heard, I was kicking myself because I told Sonny, the woman that I co-host the hip hop and R&B show on the current with, I heard you in Seattle radio before I heard you here. And I was like, okay, like, a part of me as a host, I'm going, oh, I should have been on that. But then also I'm going, this is incredible. The man has reach into a lot of different spots. What's next? As presumably there's going to be the opportunity to travel more, but presumably a lot of things have changed in a lot of our lives. What do you envision for the next couple of years of activity for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on this journey, and thank you for the kind words. I'm on this journey of releasing as much content as I can that's genuine to me and that I love. And so I'm going to continue on. My goal for this year is to, finish and complete releasing a song a week for a whole year, and then I'll check in after another year. But I could see myself, since I have this workflow, I could see myself continuing to put out constant material like throughout the week. I see myself doing a lot of music videos. I actually released a music video today. It's called Pink Sky. I released another one. And yeah, as far as, I think I'm just ready for my reach to expand beyond my normal it's been growing. It's been growing organically, which is great. I have not the biggest support base, but they're loyal supporters. Right. And anytime I drop a hoodie or I drop a song, they're the ones that are always sharing it and buying things. And I do want to take this time to shout out Native women, because they, across the states and across, even into Canada and different regions outside the country, Native women have been like showing up for your boy like every time. And so like that is amazing, and I'm super grateful for that. As far as releasing the rest of these songs, and if we can get to a place of touring again, I would love to tour for sure. And I'm just excited to see kind of what happens with the songs. I don't know. It's kind of hard to gauge, and it's kind of hard to tell exactly what will happen, because sometimes the least expected songs do perform really well, and the ones that I'm like really amped up about, I'm like, okay, this one didn't perform as good as I thought it would. But definitely a lot more, hoping that the pandemic just chills out and it's, we get back to a place of normalcy again. I feel like more public speaking gigs. I would love to speak about my experience, and touring again, because I had a few tours canceled. I had like 3 different tours canceled. I had some stuff going on in Australia and in the Pacific. I had Europe, I had the States, Canada. Like there was all kinds of touring that was like lined up, and it was a little heartbreaking, but like I'm praying and hoping that we can get back to a place where we can get there again. Mixing and mastering, not so much mastering, I guess, but like really learning how to mix my own songs, because I want, and this is very like inspired by Prince, I want to be able to build a giant catalog of music and continue that into my, as I continue to grow and age, and like even way later on in life, I still want to be able to create. At least that's where I'm at right now. Is like I want to still be able to have the creative freedom to make music and make songs and videos. And then the collaboration part. I've been collaborating with some pretty dope people, some really dope people. But I'm also ready to expand that and collaborate with more. I think one more goal is to just make it even more sustainable, I guess, too, like to get it to the point where I'm living comfortably from the music, and I'm able to buy a property in my own indigenous territory and like live comfortably and provide opportunities for my people through the music and through the art. And yeah, so those are just a few. I have a lot of other dreams, but yeah, those are definitely a few of the core, dreams that I have and that I'm actively pursuing.
Well, that's the best kind of dream, because if you just think about it and don't do nothing about it, it's not worth a whole lot. But I see you doing stuff every day to achieve those dreams, and I got tremendous faith in what you're doing, and I'm really excited to hear this last tune that, in my opinion, is probably, at least from the recorded stuff, maybe the climax of the exciting move of 2 for 1 moving into a lot more melody in your delivery. So let's get into this last track. This is Cinnamon, and I just want to thank you so much, 2 for 1, for spending some time with us and being a part of Sounds Like Home 9.
Thank you so much for having me, and it has been an honor to be a part, and thank you for sharing the platform for me to speak on my music and for my people. I really appreciate that, Sean.
I appreciate you. Have a great one.
You too.
So this song is called Cinnamon, and it's probably my most popular song. I produced it myself, and it definitely sounds like home. And my home is the south side of Minneapolis. Check it out. Ooh, I smell like cinnamon. Do you feel that medicine? Do you feel that sentiment right when you step in my room? What looks so colorful? Might feel like an edible. Might turn up the audio. Yo, open up the window when I feel that breeze and I feel that ease. MINNEAPOLIS, that is where I be. Double S-U-C. Minnehaha Ave, Lake Street, where you find my ass. When a car drive past High Lake and I don't drive fast, cause a popo just might spaz. FTP till eternity. Put it on a t-shirt the color burgundy. Sell it at a concert, make hella merch. A little hustle on the side, you deserve to see the whole world. Do, do, do. You deserve to see the whole world. You deserve to see the whole world. You deserve to see the whole world. The whole world and beyond, like, ooh, I smell like cinnamon. Do you feel that medicine? Do you feel that sentiment right when you step in my room? What looks so colorful? Might feel like an edible. Might turn up the audio. Yo, my senses are heightened. I'm feeling enlightened. I'm cruising a whip or I'm cruising my bike. Am I losing my wits? Am I losing my mind? Are my shoes in my fit? As cool as the sky is, I wanna get lost and just wander off to a different type of spot and run across a whole damn continent. Life suck like lozenges sometimes. I'm really not an optimist at times. I'm really trying hard to live my life. Somebody give me light and hit me twice. I need a new buzz or a different vice and just give me light. Give me that plug, and I'm not talking about no drugs. I said give me that love, cause I know it lifts me up and picks me up. Give me that plug, and I'm not talking about no drugs. I said give me that love, cause I know it lifts me up and picks me up. Ooh, I smell like cinnamon. Do you feel that medicine? Do you feel that sentiment right when you step in my room? What looks so colorful? Might feel like an edible. Might turn up the audio just a few decibels. Ooh, I smell like cinnamon. Do you feel that medicine? Do you feel that sentiment right when you step in my room? What looks so colorful? Might feel like an edible. Might turn up the audio. Yo, is it cold out there? Wanna go outside? I wanna vocalize all the vibes that I hold inside. Please give me the strength and the courage to be vulnerable, like with everything. Ooh, can't tell me a thing to. Give me some things I can think to. Write me a song I can sing to. I want you to show me all of your ways. Teach me to season the things that you bake. Consistency that your recipes make. Smell like cinnamon. And you can listen to Cinnamon on all streaming platforms.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artist performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.